This is Mission Control Houston, and welcome to Space Station Live. You're looking inside of the International Space Station Flight Control Room located at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Inside the room, the Orbit 2 team on console, monitoring systems on board the orbiting laboratory. Inside the room right now, they're being led by Flight Director Greg Whitney, and joining him at the Capcom position, serving as the communication link between the teams here on the ground and the astronauts in space, will be Leslie Ringo. On board, the crew of Expedition 38, currently about to pass over South America, an international contingent of astronauts and cosmonauts from around the globe. They're led by Russian cosmonaut Oleg Kotov there in the front row on the right. Also on board, starting from the left, Mikhail Turin, another Russian cosmonaut. The front row there, Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata. Moving across the back row, Rick Mastracchio, a NASA astronaut. The third Russian cosmonaut, Sergei Rosansky, and all the way on the right, NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins. So a very dynamic time for the astronauts in orbit this week, juggling a number of issues with a failed coolant loop and also a planned launch of an orbital sciences vehicle that was postponed. Late yesterday afternoon, NASA managers made the decision to postpone the upcoming orbital sciences commercial resupply flight to the station in order to proceed with a series of spacewalks that will be necessary to replace a faulty pump module on board the station that stopped working properly back on December 11th. Shortly before crew sleep yesterday, Capcom Leslie Ringo called up to the crew to advise them that the decision had been made to delay orbital and that they were going to go ahead with the EVA or the spacewalks.
City calling on Space Ground 2?
Yep, Rick, we got some late breaking forward decisions and we wanted to pass your way regarding Loop Alpha. So the first item I want to pass on is that the first EVA 24 is going to be planned for Saturday the 21st. That means the second EVA, number 25, will be targeted for next Monday, the 23rd, and the third EVA would be on Christmas Day. An additional item is we're going to continue to characterize Loop Alpha with all the changes we're incorporating, and then that means orbital will not be launching in the December timeframe. And the last status we want to give you is that it is official that 3011 EMU will be the primary suit used. We have folks here that are available to answer any questions should you have any.
Okay, we understand first EVA the 21st, the 23rd, and on Christmas Day if we need that. I understand there's still a lot of work being done on Loop A. We're going to delay orbital, and we will use suit 3011, which we're going to assemble and get working tomorrow. I think we don't have any other questions. That was our biggest question, is just which direction we're going, and I think you just answered that, so thank you.
And that again, a call from Capcom Leslie Ringo up to the crew yesterday afternoon, giving them the news that the spacewalks have been the go-ahead. So Rick Mastracchio and Mike Hopkins, two NASA astronauts on board, will be stepping out of station airlocks for this repair spacewalk. A series of EVAs, the first one taking place this Saturday on December 21st. The next one following 2 days later on the 23rd, and if necessary, 2 days after that on Christmas Day, the 25th. Again, it will be NASA astronauts Rick Mastracchio and Mike Hopkins. They'll be tasked with removing the pump module that has a failed valve inside that has been causing the issues with cooling loop A, and getting an existing spare that is on board on an external stowage platform. You can see a graphical representation of the spare pump module located on external stowage platform 3 here. The tool will be tasked with grabbing that and installing it where the current pump module is that contains the failed valve. The pump associated with one of 2 cooling loops on the external portion of the station structure, which are used to circulate ammonia outside the station that helps to keep both internal and external equipment cool from the heat that they generate. Each of these 3 spacewalks will begin at 6:10 a.m. Central Time and are scheduled to last 6.5 hours each. As always with dynamic events, we'll be bringing you live coverage here on NASA TV. Meanwhile, while the astronauts continue to prepare on board, the teams here in Mission Control Houston have continued to try and find some software workarounds to lighten the load on Cooling Loop B, which has gained the majority of the heat dissipating responsibilities, with Cooling Loop A being down. A software patch was uplinked up to the station late yesterday that resulted in an increase in the ground controller's ability to fine-tune the position of a separate valve inside of the pump module, known as an isolation valve, in order to help them better regulate the temperature inside. It resulted in an increased ability to regulate that temperature, and they were able to reintegrate one of the heat exchangers on the Destiny Laboratory into Cooling Loop A in a test of this new capability. So some of the heat loads that have been transferred over to Cooling Loop B were shifted back to A earlier this morning as a test to verify that capability. It went successfully, but since then the team has then transferred those loads back over to Loop B and will stand down as they continue to press forward with that spacewalk series, the first one starting this Saturday. But again, with the go given to conduct these spacewalks, Orbital Science's first commercial resupply flight to the International Space Station has been postponed. You can see a live view of the rocket, the Antares rocket, here at the launch pad at the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. It rolled out in the early hours yesterday morning on Tuesday. We'll be rolling back into its processing facility later this afternoon. That launch will now take place no earlier than around mid-January. So again, that first commercial resupply flight postponed while these EVAs are conducted to replace the malfunctioning coolant loop pump. So on board today, Hopkins and Mastracchio, who will be conducting these spacewalks, have been doing a number of final outfitting of their suits. The first of which they did a change out of the hard upper torso. As you had heard Leslie Ringo, the station Capcom, mention, they were going to be using suit 3011, which was the extravehicular mobility unit worn by Luca Parmitano back on his July spacewalk. That has undergone a great deal of analysis and work over the past few months to try and figure out what the issue was when water appeared in his helmet. So the crew will be swapping out what's known as the hard upper torso, or you'll hear it referred to as the HUT, to enable that suit to be used. They were also swapping out what's known as the secondary oxygen packs, or the SOAP, between two of the EMUs and performing a checkout. And then as of right now, they're doing a series of further leak checks and other checkouts of the spacesuits as they continue to press for that first EVA on Saturday. Aside from all of these spacewalking preps, Mike Hopkins also doing some ocular checkouts of his eye health, alongside Koichi Wakata, the Japanese astronaut on board, who will be setting up that eye scan hardware and performing the checkups. Wakata also responsible today for doing replacement of a hydrogen sensor inside of the station's oxygen generation system. On the Russian portion of the International Space Station, cosmonauts Oleg Kotov and Sergei Rosansky are doing their own spacewalk preparation as they do some activation and inspection of their Orlan spacesuits. Those two preparing for a December 27th spacewalk, where they'll be stepping outside of the Pirs docking compartment to install a pair of high-fidelity cameras for Earth observation, and also to freshen up a few of the experiments on the hull of the Zvezda service module, and also on the Pirs docking compartment. So those two doing some spacewalking prep of their own. The final member on board the International Space Station, Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Turin, is doing some preventative maintenance today inside of the Russian Zvezda service module, and also transferring some water over from one of the Progress resupply craft water tanks. You can see the full layout of the station here. Two unmanned resupply craft, the Progress 52 and 53, and two manned craft, the Soyuz 36 and 37, which carry these Expedition 38 astronauts and cosmonauts to the International Space Station.
I stopped the clock but then started up again just out of curiosity. We took it to 2 minutes. And it switched to 0.3 delta P at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds or something like that. We weren't really 2 minute one, so yeah, you're right. We're right on the limit, but technically I think we passed, but your call. You guys think about it, let us know.
And we're back now with a live view inside of the Quest airlock. Rick Mastracchio and Mike Hopkins doing some final checkouts of their extravehicular mobility units, the large white spacesuits that they'll be wearing for these upcoming spacewalks. They're tagging up with teams here in Mission Control Houston as they go through a series of leak checks to validate the integrity of all the seals inside of the spacesuits. Again, the two astronauts standing by inside the Quest airlock while they confer with teams here in Mission Control Houston. This will be Mike Hopkins' first spacewalk. Rick Mastracchio, though a veteran spacewalker with 6 already on his resume for a total of 38 hours and 30 minutes. Mastracchio did 3 spacewalks back in 2007 and 3 back in 2010.
Station Houston on 2 for Rick and Lee. Check.
Go ahead on 2.
Okay, Rick, since we're right on the line for the leak check, what we want to do is we want to take a look and go and verify the medics canister and make sure we're in a good config. And so I have steps for you if you're ready to copy.
We're ready to copy. Go ahead.
Okay, in step 5, we're going to want you to execute step 5.1, 5.2, 5.5, 5.6, and then 5.10.3. And we would like for you to tag back up with us after that point.
Okay, Houston, we copy 5.1, 5.2, 5.5, 5.6, and then 5.10.3. Is that what I heard?
And that's a good readback.
Okay, again, work.
So the crew getting a few more procedures to step through from the ground here in Mission Control Houston. The astronauts and the teams here working to certify that everything inside the suit working as expected before they'll be able to give the go-ahead for the astronauts to conduct these spacewalks starting on Saturday. you can now see NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio on the left there, working inside of the spacesuit's portable life support system, or the PLIS. It's the backpack attached to the backside of these spacesuits that contain a number of the life support systems that enable the spacesuits to basically be small self-contained spaceships for these astronauts. All the breathing gases, cooling water, and other systems that keep the suit functioning located in there. The astronauts doing a number of leak checks and other system checkouts on the suits today as they continue to press for that first EVA coming up this Saturday. This Saturday would be the first of a series of spacewalks for these two astronauts. The next one coming on the 23rd, just 2 days after. And then if necessary, the two will be stepping outside of the Quest airlock one last time on Christmas Day, if necessary. They may be able to get all the work done in 2 spacewalks, but the team protecting for 3 dates just in case. This pump has been replaced before previously, back in 2010 by NASA astronauts.
Houston on 2 for EMU.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Medox canister, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out which side I'm on. I'm looking, I guess, on the left side, actually. There's a small particle. I don't know what it is. It looks shiny. It might be a little piece of metal, but it might just be a little fleck of something right on the O-ring.
Okay, we copy that. Give us a second to think about it.
And the other thing is on the suit itself, in the Medox canister port, one on the right side, there is a bit of a kind of a white residue. I don't know, almost 180 degrees, maybe less, maybe 100 degrees, kind of in that port. This looks like a little bit of a residue built up. We're going to try to get a video camera out for you.
And if you could also grab some stills, that would really be helpful.
You bet.
So the astronauts working as the eyes for the teams down here on the ground while they work to do some final checks on their spacesuits today.
And Rick, we're looking at the airlock video along with you.
Continuing to get a view inside of the portable life support system on this spacesuit. The two astronauts performing some checkouts on today. NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio reporting a small amount of residue, so the team's going to check it out. This is a view of the suit's MEDOX can inside of the hand of NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio right now. He's giving a view to the teams here in Mission Control Houston.
Airlock Houston on 2. Rick, thanks for the video, and we see the video of the MEDOX can O-ring there as well. It's very helpful. What we'd like you guys to do is take a dry wipe and get that residue out of the port itself and then bag it. And then we're still talking about whether or not we want to use the MEDOX can, so we need a few more minutes.
Okay, we copy. We'll use a dry wipe, wipe the inside of the port on the PLIS and bag it, and then we'll stand by on the MEDOX canister.
Good readback, thanks.
So the crew going to be doing some small cleanup inside of that portable life support system on the back of the EMU suit. As they continue to do checkouts today to prepare the 2 suits for their upcoming spacewalks, kicking off this Saturday to replace a pump module in the malfunctioning cooling loop A on the external portion of the International Space Station. Again, 3 spacewalks currently planned. The first kicking off on December 21st, the second December 23rd, and then if necessary, December 25th. The 2 astronauts, Rick Mastracchio and Mike Hopkins, will have to head outside and replace the failed pump with an existing spare that's located on an external stowage platform.
Okay, message 374 steps are all complete. 4 EVA cost checklists were updated, and they are all back in the original location for stowage, except for 1 spare cost checklist, which I will have at the robotics workstation with an extra page of the water in EMU node pages. So that's the only one that is at the robotics workstation, but all the other 3. 2 are for the EVA and 1 spare back in the original stowage location.
Okay, Koichi, thanks for the status. It sounds great.
And that's just then a call down from Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata, who will be responsible for operating the station's robotic arm during the upcoming spacewalking activities. Wakata has been doing some on-orbit training with that, and will be at one of 2 robotic workstations inside of the International Space Station, either in the Destiny Laboratory or inside of the station's cupola, which provides a great view of the outboard station structure and the robotic arm for these astronauts on board.
And Houston Station on 2 for Eclipse. If you are ready, I can perform the WPA condensate swap.
And Koichi, we're ready for that.
Okay, thanks.
And as mentioned, the focus of these upcoming spacewalks to replace a pump module responsible for pumping coolant through cooling loop A on board the station. The pump had been replaced previously back in 2010 on a series of 3 spacewalks by NASA astronauts Doug Wheelock and Tracy Caldwell Dyson. Each of the spacewalks timeline to last about 6.5 hours, each with a start time of 6:10 a.m. Central. So while the astronauts on board the station continue to prepare for those upcoming spacewalks, We will be bringing you a briefing from the Johnson Space Center later this afternoon to cover the details of the spacewalk. That briefing taking place today at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern on NASA TV. Briefers will include Michael Suffredini, the International Space Station Program Manager, also Dina Cantella, who will be the Flight Director for the spacewalk, and also Allison Bollinger, the Lead Spacewalk Officer. As always, reporters can attend the briefing at 2 p.m. here at the Johnson Space Center or other participating NASA centers, or ask questions by phone by calling the Johnson Space Center newsroom by no later than 1:45 p.m. Central Time.
So we've thought about what we want to do with the MEDOX.
So again, just to recap, series of spacewalks coming up for the astronauts of Expedition 38, working today to prepare their spacesuits alongside with teams down here on the ground in Mission Control Houston. A spacewalk starting on December 21st, a second one on the 23rd, and a third one, if necessary, on the 25th. With the decision to do the spacewalks, the Orbital Sciences Cygnus spacecraft first resupply flight to the International Space Station has been postponed and will now launch no earlier than mid-January. Be sure to tune in to that briefing later this afternoon for the latest on the spacewalks and what the astronauts will be doing in detail. And we'll be bringing you more coverage here on NASA TV during Space Station Live in the coming days as we gear up for these spacewalks. For now, though, we'll go ahead and sign off. This is Mission Control Houston.